This is the 9th of December 2021, a couple of days after Storm Barra swept through here. Some in the area say it wasn't that severe a storm. All I can say is it was ferocious here, and there has been a fair amount of damage. These are the Rod Y that I planted in September, I think it was, and generally they're fine. You can see the mature leaves are okay, but the new growth is a little bit burnt. The Camphora generally seem to be fine. Again, there's a little bit of wind burn. They're probably a bit more sheltered, but all of these new plantings are growing straight. There's no issues with them. They haven't been blown over. These Perenniana spinning gum are still in good nick, good condition. I think they have had some slight wind damage, wind burn on the very new growth, but generally they are still in good condition. I've always liked the foliage on Perenniana. Nice coloration and just an interesting tree. Anyway, let's see if I can find something that's got a bit of wind burn. I mean, they're generally speaking, they're pretty good, to be honest. Another 2 or 3 days, but you can see there already that the very tip, the very newest growth does have wind burn. The wind burn isn't really an issue. As I say, this storm was ferocious and some of the trees were just about bent, touching the ground. So I'm really astonished that these nitens have stood up to it, because there's nothing, there's no protection here at all. Storm Barra was a northwesterly, so basically it just came whistling straight through here. There's definitely been a lot of damage. It was a severe storm here. What is astonishing is that so many of these trees have not only stood up to it, but are standing tall and straight, as it were, or straight. Gunny eye and nitens, but I'll show you the losses. It is sad to see quite a few trees which were becoming, starting to turn into trees from saplings. Anyways, I'm not going to stake them or try and resurrect them. If they can't handle it, then that's just the way it is. As I say though, what is astonishing is that so many have done so well. This is the tallest nitens, and its bottom, its roots haven't moved at all, and these trees, I don't know if I've said it already, but you know, they were more or less touching the ground. It was a ferocious, I had some ferocious gusts here, and this one's standing straight. This one next to it I staked last year, and as I say, I'm not going to stake. I think the word is sheer total and utter neglect, stun. If they can't handle it at this size, then they won't handle it when they get larger. So I'll be taking out quite a lot of these and replanting. These gunny eye were always a bit of a lean, and some of the nitens there as well, because they're shaded out by the willow at the back here. So they've always grown a bit to the east, as it were. Anyway, 1 or 2 of them have definitely succumbed. So again, I'll get some early coppice from these. I'll replant. I won't kind of let them grow from the stump, as it were. Sad to see, but that's the way it is. This is the worst of the devastation, as it were. And again, what I'm amazed at is so many of them have stood up to it. I really wish I'd gone out and taken some footage of how far over these were leaning during the severe gusts. I mean, they just really were almost lying horizontal. So we'll just take a walk through here. So as I say, I am astonished that so many have done so well, but I always knew that I had issues in this particular area. I planted them just before the beast from the east storm. There's quite a lot of rock here. It was cold and I started off digging decent deep sized holes for them, and you know, so the first few here you can see have survived, are straight, are growing strong, but the further up you get you can see what I started to do was just peel back the turf, plonk the pots in the middle, push the turf back around the pots and let them get on with it. So these really haven't had a fair go. Sad to see, but as I say, I knew this was going to happen, or I was pretty sure it would happen. I did stake quite a lot of these last year. As I say, I'm not staking them. So I guess I'll get quite a lot of early firewood. But yeah, I'll leave what's survived, but I'll replant what hasn't survived. Well, as I say, quite a lot of it has survived. This is the largest Viminalis, and it's dead straight, it's solid. I'm really pleased with that one, and we haven't had that severe a winter. I expect this will have some wind burn at the tips, but generally speaking that's really starting to do well, this one. Become a mother tree. Some of these as well, I mean there's not that much in, well there's no protection for these from the northwest over there. So really I am astonished that so many of these have done well. Here's another one I staked that, so that's, you know, it was kind of obvious that quite a lot of these weren't going to do well. The largest gunny eye that I have, and this is it here, and again, you know, it's sticking out the tallest, and it's ramrod straight. There's no issues with the trunk there at all whatsoever. Bit unfortunate with the crows in my new planting. They dig them up. I expect the worms and the other bugs go looking for the milk kefir. So yeah, really disappointing. They've all been dug up, or more or less all of them. Still a few globulus have survived the rats and the crows and are doing fine. But as I say, I will replant. I expect these will have some wind burn, but they'll come back. Globulus do have lignotumor, but they'll also sprout from epicormic buds in the bark and nodes at the leaves. So yeah, a bit disappointing about that. I'll go back to my original method with these, which is to put stones around them so that the crows and the rats can't dig them up. So there's a good view of this one. I think this was the first one that blew over. So there's a good view of the root ball of that one. What is quite astonishing is that this one, I think it was this one, until I see if I can find it. This one here. Okay, this gunny eye here, I actually staked. We had a easterly, a direct easterly, so blowing this against the grain as it were, and it was quite interesting that you can see how it's grown out towards the east, and then we had a gale from the east and it actually blew it the other way and blew it flat, so I did stake this. So it's quite interesting that if we get a westerly, that one's fine. No problems. So these are new plantings of Ernigera, and I am definitely a fan of Ernigera for whatever reason. I like the bark, to be quite honest, but they're also, and the leaves, the coloration, but they're also really tough and resilient, and this is still exposed. They do get some shelter here, but yeah, the wind would have whistled down here just the same. And these don't seem to have much in the way of wind burn at all. It might take a few more days for anything to show up, but generally these are still in good, healthy condition. So again, you can see the wind was against the grain, as it were, from the northwest. Normally we would get a westerly, and some of these haven't made it. Some of them, though, again, this area wasn't that well planted. It was the planting just before the beasts from the east. So I'm actually astonished they've made it this far. And this one here, I think, is a mountain gum as well. And it's sturdy, it's dead straight. And that, you know, mountain gum, Dalra ampliana, is definitely going to be one of my picks for planting here. I have kept a few. I don't have any more seed. I'm trying to get more seed, but yeah, Dalra ampliana, mountain gum, I think are up for it in Ireland against all the elements. Moving down though, as you can see, quite a lot of these are, yeah, I'll be taking out quite a lot of these and replanting. I don't see much point in leaving them. I might leave some of them. If they lean against the bank, then that's not going to be an issue for them, but generally speaking I'll leave the good ones. Looks like another Dalra ampliana there. Again, you know, it's grown a bit sideways, but it's managed to dig down decent root structure. This is a Dalra ampliana though, and very saddened to see this one go. I thought this one was pretty sturdy. It's got lots and lots of flower buds on it. Really sad to see this one. I was looking forward to all the flower buds. It was a sturdy tree, quite surprised. I guess there's absolutely no protection for it there. Just comes whistling straight through the gap. Anyways, these ones, as you can see, I staked them. These were okay, these two, until we got that easterly, and that blew them back against the grain and I staked them. But as I say, I am not going to get into staking. If they can't handle it, they can't handle it. The gunny eye hedge here has, for the most part, done its job well enough, especially towards the end here, and these ones are sturdy and strong. However, these ones that were planted right up against the wall, there's quite a lot of damage with these. I'm not sure what I'll do here. Might just cut them right back to 20 centimetres again, the ones that haven't fared so well. But generally they did their job, although they've been the sacrificial lambs. During the worst of the gusts, probably around 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I got out and I lashed. The doors blew open on the polytunnels. These polytunnels, they're not particularly sturdy. I did beef them up. This one's a goner. I can't get 4 metre covers for these anymore. So I'll do my best to patch that one up. I do have some material, but really I'd already started to have thoughts about replacing these. But yeah, they're lashed in the meantime. Sad but true. In contrast to all that carnage, devastation, the sheltered area has really done what it says on the tin, so to speak. These are parvular, they're dead straight. They would have got a lot of protection and shelter from a viminalis, even though they have stood up to it, as have the glossines. Clounsnaghta, the pulverulenta have taken a bit of a beating. I'll give you some close-ups. So parvula are one of the toughest of the eucalyptus, and there's pretty much no wind burn on these. They're really tough and hardy, and they haven't been blown over at all either. And Clounsnaghta, maybe a bit pushed in there, 1 or 2 of them. Generally though, really pleased with these. The Clounsnaghta are really tough and resilient. Again, maybe one there that's got blown in a little bit, but generally really tough, stout, sturdy stems. Really strong. While I'm on this side, these are the Clounsnaghta, and my wind protection didn't last too long in the storm. It kind of ripped all the staples out. Anyway, the plants themselves, the trees themselves, have done okay. There are a couple that have been pushed over slightly. There's one there that's got a bit of a rocking, but generally speaking these have been tough and resilient. A little bit waggled back and forth. I do intend to coppice these, so they'll be left, and in general these, considering these were planted pretty early on in the year, pretty late on in the year, maybe, well, not that late, maybe April, May, June, so they've had half a growing season, half a year, so some of these are getting on for 2 meters. But anyway, in terms of the wind damage, they're pretty stout and sturdy. They are getting quite a bit of protection from the Clounsnaghta, is it called? Clounsnaghta. These, likewise, these are getting a lot of protection in this area. The Clounsnaghta though, no issues. New growth coming out. Difficult to tell if they've got any windburn or not. The Regnans, no problems. I mean, it is sheltered here. They haven't had the biggest blast of it, but even so, they really have done well. There was one over here that did get a bit of a shaking, and the reason for that was there was a bramble, a vine that was growing out of the tree there, and it hooked itself on, so as the tree waggled back and forth, it was also waggling this particular Regnans back and forth. But generally speaking, yeah, some windburn on that, but I'm sure these will come back no problem. Generally, I'm sad to see quite a lot of this go, but it's not unexpected. So inside the sheltered area, it really has done its job. These were out in all of the gale there, and yeah, it does get some protection, a double protection from the nightends there, and also from the sheltered area hedging. But generally, yeah, these have been out and have been fine. The ferocious, I think they have been, they've definitely been pushed over a bit, although they were pretty scraggly before. These are Rod Y in plugs, Viminalis in plugs. I took them out of the polytunnels because they weren't getting enough hydration in there. And I think, yeah, Regnans. So yeah, I'm going to replant the Regnans and the globulus up in the corner and replant everything else. I'm just going to go over there and touch on the polycarbonate polytunnel. So really pleased. This did get a pretty good blasting, and it's rock solid. There's no evidence of damage at all whatsoever. When I put these in, when I secured it, you know, it is pretty well braced. But even though there's, you know, this has taken a pounding as well, and a rock solid. Really pleased with it. As I say, it is well braced, but it's not moving anywhere. So really pleased with the polycarbonate polytunnel. Really strong, really sturdy. I haven't finished off the render on it or drainage, guttering, because what I want to do is I'm going to dig this and make this a pond. So I want to be able to capture all the runoff, the rainwater runoff from the polytunnel, and duct it into some sort of channel to feed my pond. Gunny eye hedge along the wall here is really starting to take shape, It's quite interesting that all of these have done well, all standing up dead straight, all sturdy, all wind resilient, really pleasing. So these would have been the strongest growing of them, and yeah, they've really, I mean, no issues. Fabulous, nice and healthy. So sad to see quite a few trees going. I get some early, a few bags of firewood, but it was expected. Anyway, hope that helps. Good luck.